Keith, the second half is probably going to be what's analyzed. Was it the early fouls that got you out of rhythm? Just you guys not executing? What do you attribute it to?
I mean, I don't think it was the early fouls. I mean, we just have been consistently inconsistent. We've shown we can play with the good teams in the league, but in order to be championship quality, you got to be more consistent than that. As simple as that. We went through stretches we couldn't score, and they took advantage of it, won the game. We knew that Spurts is, they're a spurty team. So if you don't score and match their abilities to score, then you're not going to win. Simple as that. We showed good fight. We showed good togetherness, but we just didn't make enough in that one stretch.
You had a halftime lead, maybe one of two or three teams that's had a halftime lead on them all season. Did you think you could hang with them in the second half?
I had no reason not to. We played them at 4 points the last time. I have a lot of respect for them. They're well coached. He's a really good coach. They're tough. They're old. They've been through a lot. But with that being said, I thought, if we would have been able to maintain our defensive intensity and pressure them, I think we would have been in better shape. We can't give up 80. We can't score 80, so you can't give up 80 and win. Now, a little misleading because we had a trap at the end and things like that. But, everybody talks about Toppin, and he's great, but Crutcher's the one with them. When they're in trouble, Crutcher makes plays. So he hurt us.
When you look at things as things are maybe going in the opposite direction, do you massage? Do you get on them? Do you find a balance? Because it's something you've kind of addressed all season long.
Well, I try to call timeouts first to kind of quell it. I called 2 quick ones. Look, there's 13,000 people in the stands. You think it does any good to yell at your guys at that point? It wasn't like we weren't trying. We just didn't play good enough during that stretch. So I'm not gonna pile on them. I'm gonna try to get them going, and maybe run a play that helps them. So, we just hit a bad stretch, which that separates the really good teams from the good teams to the average teams, is they don't hit those stretches. They battle through.
As you move forward, how do you try to move this team forward? You said it's maybe a bad time to have a stretch like this. How do you maybe turn the negative and get back to teaching and get back to coaching them up?
I mean, I don't really see it as negatives. It was a 14-point line. I mean, obviously nobody else thought we were going to win. I bet you people made a lot of money at the halftime break if they bet the halftime score. So how am I supposed to view it as a negative? I'm not really built that way. My job is to make them better every day. I get upset because we don't win, but ultimately I'm not going to get down. We're just at the beginning of this thing. We beat St. Louis twice, we beat Davidson, we played Dayton pretty good. I mean, I don't want any moral victories, but we're there. We had Rhode Island down 8 at halftime, fell apart. I don't think anybody's completely just beat our brains in. We just have to be more consistent against everybody. We just have to play harder all the time. I think that's the biggest thing for us. We get tired. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious we get tired. And look, man, in fairness, Mace has had a hard time, man. He's been through a lot of stuff, man. And he hasn't played as good because he's been through a lot of stuff, and that's my job to get him through that. So I don't really care about basketball with Mace. I'm just trying to get him through the day. I feel for him, man. He's trying his brains out, but it's been a hard month for him.
What were you most pleased with the first half that allowed you guys to get those leads?
Our defensive intensity was good. I think we kind of used the same roadmap as VCU did. Just try to not let them hand the ball off, not let them be as fluid. If you allow them to be fluid and throw it from side to side, you're going to get your brains beat in. I think there's where we have to be able to do it more consistently. I thought we had trouble guarding the ball in the second half, but they're one of the most fluid offensive teams in the country. If you allow them to be fluid, you got to chop it up. And I thought we did a good job of that in the first half.
How do they compare to other competition you've seen this season?
Well, I kind of judge it by who I've seen over the last 30 years. I think as far as system, coaching, understanding his players, he could be National Coach of the Year. That's just my opinion. I think they play hard for him. I think they're really smart. I think they're the sum of those parts are a lot greater than the individual pieces. And that's no disrespect for them individually. They got a lot of really, really good players. But there's a lot of guys on that team, people don't realize how good they are. Like Trey Landers, because Obi's so good that you don't hear much about Trey. But he's one of the toughest guys in the league. And Mike Sell, you can argue that he's the best winner in the league. He's just a winning, unselfish guy, right? And then you can look at Crutcher. And then, you can even go down to Cohill and those guys just playing their roles. He's just done a good job of getting them to buy in at what they do. They have weaknesses, but he's done a good job of just playing to those guys' strengths. And when they shoot the ball in like they did in the second half, they become difficult. So you have to pick your poison. Do you want to double Obi? Do you want to hard hedge him and let him run to the rim? Because if you don't, the guards hurt you. So there's a lot of hard things with them that you have to pick. And so I give him an unbelievable. I give him, Coach Grant, the ultimate respect for how he coaches them, because they do a lot of great things. You can't win as many games in a row. And then listen, you have to give their fan base. Look, I know a lot about Dayton because my dad played at Duquesne against Coach Donaher, and I'm friends with Brian Donaher and all those guys. So I know a lot about Dayton basketball, going back to Coach Blackburn and Coach Donaher. Those are some of the best fans in the country, right? So when they don't have it, those fans make sure they have it, right? So they get on a little run, man. It's hard. I don't know what their overall record in the last 10 years is in here, but I bet it's pretty good, right? You would know.
Yeah, we're Columbus.
A year ago, you mentioned that you guys were filled with guys that Dayton didn't want, and to have that proverbial chip on the shoulder. How much do they view this game and that pleasure of maybe playing that team and having that chance against that team that didn't want them?
Well, that's what I like best about our team is we certainly aren't scared. We went to West Virginia, we weren't scared. We went to St. Louis, we weren't scared. We went to Rhode Island, we weren't scared. We might not have played good enough, but we weren't scared. So, a lot of people, you see all those fans, you get a little timid. I don't think, you can't play a good first half and play a bad second half and blame it on being timid. I don't think that's the case at all. We just didn't play good enough.